Johnny here for Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. So I've got this really neat segment coming up. We'll have multiple videos on really head-to-head. So we're going to be doing head-to-head videos on Badlands versus the Big Benz Sasquatch, and really any base model Sasquatch, any of the two lower packages where you add Sasquatch, and in the case of this Big Bend where it ends up being basically the same price as the Badlands, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And just to show you that when I'm comparing the Bronco, I am comparing it to Jeep rides. I am going to be doing today a head-to-head between the Jeep Wrangler and my Badlands. Now, of course, this Wrangler was a two-door, so the comparison isn't perfect, but I have driven four doors, and I will talk about what those differences are. So we could call it a head-to-head, or we could call it a boot-to-boot, because that's where we're going to start. We're going to start by comparing their boots. So in the boot, as some would say, or the back cargo area, you can really see that obviously the difference is huge when you're only looking at the two-door, but the two-door Bronco will have a lot more cargo space when people start getting their two-door Broncos. Now, I checked with my local dealer, and there actually is one on the way for this year. So they won't just have received four doors as some people have been talking about. Now, the cargo space on the four-door is incredible. I do suggest you cover that tailgate. I don't find the tailgate looks great if you don't put anything there. That mole accessory kit was dirt cheap, so even a cheap guy like me was pretty happy and able to dish out. I was also thinking about the table, but I figured those mole bags are going to be much better for tools or camera equipment. So this head-to-head review, let's just start by talking about motors. People have been saying that the Bronco, when you open up the motor, there's no cover plastic. I personally hate cover plastics, but there are quite a few wires. But hey, who lives underneath their hood on a new vehicle? This isn't the end of the world, and let's please stop trashing the vehicle for this reason. Now, if I were to get a new Jeep, I would definitely go for the 4xe plug-in hybrid powertrain, because the 375 horsepower combined with the fact that it's got 470 pound-feet of torque when that electric motor is also working away is fantastic. You can also go with the Rubicon V8, but that just costs an absolute fortune. I'm not a fan of the 2-liter, and I'm not a the 6-cylinder is okay with the 200 horsepower, but it's making all its horsepower and all its torque way on the top end of things. So you really gotta kind of beat it to get results. Now, engine wise, of course, I've been driving the 2.7 liter from the Bronco, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I expect the 2.3 to be pretty darn decent, because it's got a lot of low end torque, so it'll feel peppy even if it's not insanely fast. But hey, it's an off-road machine. You don't get these things to go out and drag, and you can't expect them to be all that fuel efficient unless you have a really great hybrid system like the Jeep does. You can't expect it to be all that fuel efficient, because these things are less aerodynamic than a cow. You can't buy an off-road machine and expect amazing fuel efficiency. You want a fun vehicle, you want to have a fun life, get a Bronco or get a Jeep and go off-roading. If you want to have great fuel economy and maybe not as exciting of a life, well, get something else. And of course, the hybrid Jeep makes that decision tough, because you can have great fuel economy and have that great squared off look and have plenty of power and go off-roading. So how do you pick? Well, I'm not 100% sold on the Jeep, mostly because of ride comfort, steering wheel, suspension. So it's a toss-up. I do like the Gladiator with its bed. That's super useful, and I'm a little disappointed that for the moment Ford won't be offering that in 2024. But I do absolutely love the Bronco's interior. People have been saying it's maybe too plasticky. Well, it's plasticky where you don't touch, and it looks great. The dash is textured, but I'll get into all of that. Here's the Jeep interior, and of course it was a 2018, and it wasn't the highest trim model, but neither is my Badlands. So I really do like the Bronco's interior. It actually looks amazing at night. The seats are unbelievably comfortable. I'll be showing you some road testing that I did where I drove the vehicle for 7 hours in the same day, and in between sat for about 6 hours in a hard plastic chair. But I do have to say that the exhaust on the new Bronco is not what my Mustang V8 was, and it's not either actually what I was expecting, because I'm used to the 2.7 liter on the F-150, which has a great sound. But let's just jump right into the road test. So welcome back, everybody. This is Johnny from Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. I'm in the 2021 Ford Bronco Badlands Edition with, of course, the 2.7 liter EcoBoost engine. So I am just absolutely loving the 330 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. It is fantastic. Smooth acceleration. And you know, I'm off to Quebec City to try out the new Maverick. I'm going to be test driving this thing, so stay tuned on the channel if you're one of the Maverick viewers. So this is actually surprisingly good in the bendies. I love how direct the steering feel is. It's not just feeling direct, it is direct.
Continue on Auto Route 410 West.
When merging on the highway, tons of acceleration, so no safety concerns there whatsoever. This Bronco's fast. You won't have any issues with that. You will like how quick this picks up and jumps on the highway. So that was an on-ramp, sorry. Very sharp, bendy, and then you don't have very much space to merge onto the highway, and you miss it while you're doing the circle over again. And there's no issues with jumping on. I was able to accelerate from about 40 miles per hour to 70 miles per hour so that I could merge in and not have any issues. So Bronco acceleration, it's 10 out of 10. The 2.7 liter is amazing. I'm pretty excited. Off to Quebec City for the Maverick training. I'm going to get to test drive today, so test drive it myself. So stay tuned. I won't have not very much body roll, doing I believe what would be 75 to 80 miles per hour on another merger ramp. This one less sharp, and just doesn't have very much body roll. Mind you, the Jeep didn't have very much body roll at all either, and I liked how the Jeep handled in the curves, in the bendies, you could say. But what bothered me about it was more how on the highway I had to adjust the steering wheel often to keep it in a straight line. It had a tendency to pull left, pull right, and not just the tendency, it was mostly doing it all the time. So the Jeep is a great off-road machine, especially the two-door with its short wheelbase. Amazing off-road machine. No space in the trunk, but you know, that's advantage. Less long, better on the off-road, but on the on-road, issues. Now, will the Bronco give me issues on the off-road? Well, from what I'm seeing in videos so far, no, not at all. It's going to be great, but I'll test that out. What I can say as of now, that I've driven this for several hours, is that, and several days, of course, and I'm going to be doing about 6 hours of road today. All highway mostly. It's fantastic on road, whether you're in town and it's very bumpy roads at slow speeds, or you're just on bumpy highway. It's fantastic. It's a really good drive. You're gonna love it. Now I'm gonna set my cruise control because it is misleading. You don't feel the speed in this. Now, if you're not listening to the radio, you might know when you're going, 75 miles per hour based on a little bit of wind noise. If you listen to the radio, you've got no issues whatsoever. You'll just drone it right out. We'll pass in here. Yeehaw. Oh, geez. Okay, so that was a little outside of the tolerable. So yeah, definitely need to set the cruise control. Sorry, just getting used to the buttons on this. Decent, nice setup. They put the plus volume beside the plus for the speed on the cruise, so until you get used to that, you might get the two confused, but the buttons are fantastic. They feel great, and they're also they have this covering so that they're resistant, so if it did start to rain and the top was off, I don't have to worry about water getting into the steering wheel and causing me all sorts of mayhem and havoc. Now coming up, this bridge is supposed to be pretty bumpy. There's even a warning, and let's see how it takes the bumps driving 80 miles per hour. Now from the camera, it might look like that was bad, but that's all the pull, that's the camera holders pull, because from where I'm sitting, I didn't feel any of that. I heard it, as I'm sure, hopefully the mic picked up. You hear a bit the suspension, so you do hear the suspension when it's hitting bumps at high speed. But hey, it's smooth. That's a big difference I find from the Jeep. The Jeep, you will get rocked around more on the bumps. It's going to be pulling left, right on the highway. This is a much more comfortable ride, and that's part of the reason why I think it really is worth the wait. And this is actually going well beyond my expectations. This is beating my expectations. I had hoped it would be good, and I expected the vehicle to be good. You know, I've done reviews where I've said the 2.7 liter is a fantastic engine. The 2.3 liter will have ample power, and if you do find it's missing a little because, you know, you're all about pedal to the metal, as I am, then yeah, if you do have to go with the 2.3 liter because you definitely want that manual, well, then you just program it. You throw in the air filter, you throw in a program, and you change the exhaust. Now, I thought getting the 2.7 liter, this would sound like an F-150's 2.7, and I was wrong. That's one of the few areas where it didn't meet my expectations. It's actually a little less than what I had hoped, but I understand, you know, they're making these vehicles for a lot of people, and no one's gonna buy a vehicle and be okay with the idea of having to change mufflers so that it's classier and makes less noise. And not very many people mind, so I kind of find it fun to get to swap the exhaust. So, and I think there's probably no exhaust sound from factory that would have been quite good enough. I do really like the F-150's 2.7 liter engine and exhaust sound, but I like it more when it's modified anyways. So they've built this to make the majority of people happy. If you're in the minority, such as myself, and you're still into speed, but you do want comfort, you do want a ride that you can drive every day, that you can go around on holidays with. This has a ton of trunk space. You're going to be on the highway, and you're not going to hear the engine, you're not going to hear the exhaust, except for when you accelerate. So it's a really nice drive. And I have over-modified vehicles before. You know, I had a 2013 Mustang GT California Special, and I took out the mufflers, and I put in some pipes instead of the mufflers, some straight pipes. That was a bad idea. You know, going down to the ocean with that, which is a 4.5-hour drive, always guaranteed me a pretty bad headache. And I think that summer I went down to the ocean 6 times, so 6-7 times. So you could say that it was a pretty sore summer. You won't have that in this. The Bronco is very comfortable. I could drive this for hours. For now, let's just talk Bronco. This 2021 Ford Bronco Badlands Edition is fantastic. I am thrilled with my choice for taking the 2.7 liter engine now. I had a huge hesitation in picking my model for quite some time because I was hesitating between the 2.3 liter and the 2.7. Now, a lot of people ordered up a 2.7, and I can say you will not be disappointed one bit. This thing is more than enough power. It's absolutely more power than I could ever need, so reprogramming it, forget about it. And you know, really, I think the 2.3 liter would have been very good. And if anything, the 2.3 liter, if I would have found in a 4,800 pound vehicle that there's missing just a little bit of oomph, well, I could have just thrown on an air filter, an exhaust, and have that programmed. And with those modifications, I'd be at almost the power ratings we have right here on the 2.7. So it would have done a whole lot of good. But thus far, my impressions of this vehicle. We're in the vehicle, so let's talk drive. This thing drives fantastically. It is super smooth. Now, I just drove a Jeep yesterday. I've owned a Jeep before. I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I had some off-road tires on that. Mind you, that was actually, surprisingly, that was 1992, if I recall correctly. And I have some experience in vehicles. because I've owned about 60 vehicles. I'm in the low 60s by now, if I were to count them all. Had counted them back in 2015, I believe it was, and I was at about 40. My 2016 Mustang was my 43rd vehicle, so I must be at about 60. I must have hit it or passed it, and those are vehicles I've owned. I have test driven so many more, and I've also had, you know, I've driven, I've had vehicles sometimes given to me for a week or two, and like the Escape Hybrid. I'm thrilled with this Bronco. I just retested the Jeep, and in re-driving a Jeep, now of course it was a two-door, so that's got the shorter wheelbase, but night and day, absolute night and day between the two vehicles. You know, when I first got into the Jeep, I was thinking, hey, this is good. The acceleration's okay. I would think that it feels less peppy than a 2.3 liter four-cylinder Ranger. So I'm thinking the Bronco 2.3 liter is gonna feel peppier than the V6 Jeep. So forget about what the numbers to, 60 miles per hour, 65 miles per hour, or 100 kilometers an hour is. It's all about feeling. No one's, dragging these things. It's about how you feel when you drive. And the acceleration was okay. I didn't mind it. What I did mind, actually, is how the vehicle handled bumps. It handled the curbs. The curves, the bendies it did well. At first I was thinking, hey, I'm gonna really like this Jeep. If they depreciated more, I could have bought a used Jeep instead of the Bronco. But when I started to get on the highway and had to work pretty hard to keep the vehicle in a straight line, I really missed, and the steering wheel felt very loose. Now let's compare that to the Bronco. The Bronco steering wheel is very direct. It's power assisted steering, electronically power assisted steering. So the ratios adapt to your speed, meaning you get, really amazing turn radius and ratio. The ratio between the steering wheel and the wheels is very good at low speeds. Turns on a dime. That's got a decent turning radius. That's nice. Oh, wow. But then, kind of becomes a bigger ratio for the highway. So you're getting the best of both worlds. So it's a pleasure to drive on the highway. Now the Jeep on the highway, I was working to keep in a straight line. I had to make a lot of adjustments. That I didn't like so much. And I also didn't love how it was getting pulled left and right. So those were my qualms with it. The acceleration it was fine for an off-road vehicle. And of course, there's always anyways the V8 that you can get in the Jeep. Now, of course, the price goes up a lot, and that's what I really like about the Bronco. The price doesn't go up very much taking a 2.7 liter. If you're already looking at an automatic 2.3, well, then the price difference, a couple $1,000s, and you're running the 2.7 liter EcoBoost, it's a fantastic deal. Now, it must be mentioned how this takes bumps as well. This is a lot smoother over the bumps. I got jolted a lot more in the Jeep, and I'll have, through my videos, you'll see some footage of that Jeep drive. So first of all, we can say that the Jeep's power is good. 285 horsepower, 270 pound-feet of torque out of the 6-cylinder gets the job done. But of course, that's power that's all created on the high end at high RPM. So I do really like the low-end torque of the 2.3 liter. I absolutely love it on the 2.7 liter. The Jeep did good in the corners. There wasn't much body roll. Where there was body roll, of course, was front and back body roll, but the four-door would have definitely resolved pretty much all of that. My main issues with the Jeep are on bumps. It really shakes the vehicle up, and then it sends it in a left-right, not completely out of control. It's very controllable, but you're just constantly playing around with the steering wheel. You're just constantly adjusting the steering wheel to get this thing to stay in a straight line. So it's not the easiest, most comfortable ride, but it is an off-road machine, and it is a good, amazing off-road machine. And this is worth the wait. Now, the Jeep, of course, has a huge advantage. It's available right now, and I think makes a great option while you wait on your Bronco. There's nothing wrong with driving the Jeep in the meantime. And if you haven't driven the Bronco, you're probably gonna love the Jeep. I bet you'll love it. And you might even think, should I really take possession of my Bronco when it comes in? And the answer is absolutely. So if you've ordered a Jeep, or if you're currently driving a Jeep because you couldn't wait for your Bronco, I really do suggest that you know, when your Bronco comes in, test drive it. You're gonna see a big difference, and you're gonna know that the right thing to do is trade in for the Bronco. Now, I think this is, you know, competition's great, and I think Jeep is probably gonna work on their front suspension and on their steering so that it also becomes a more comfortable drive. So everyone's gonna benefit from this. Now, what can I say about the Bronco that, you know, isn't all positive? Well, there's a few things. You know, I got a Badlands. It was 63,000 or 62,800 and some odd Canadian. I'll have to show you my window sticker. And I keep trying to get into the vehicle and scratching my head. Why aren't the doors unlocking? What's going on? So yeah, this doesn't have the easy access. I have to take the key out of my pocket and unlock the doors, despite the price tag. And despite the price tag, there's no heated seats. Now, yes, I was cheap, but could Ford have thrown those two things in on basically $63,000 Badlands? Yeah, maybe so. But, you know, I definitely, the packages don't cost that much, and this is on me, I guess. I'll take ownership. I should have, I should have gone for the high package. The 8-inch screen, it's doing great. I had thought quite a while if I should upgrade to the 12-inch screen. The 12-inch screen is incredible, but the 8-inch screen is very good. It's fast. I'm enjoying it, and I can definitely live with it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Now, speaking of things wrong with the vehicle, a lot of people have been saying, journalists I guess, have been picking on the sound system. I do not have the Bang & Olufsen, and I do not need the Bang & Olufsen. The sound system was bad until I adjusted it. Once I adjusted it in the settings menu and played around with the treble and the bass and the mid-range, I put the bass on max, mid-range 3/4, treble 3/4, and the sound system is sounding great. And that's confirmed not just by me, not just by Marie-Pierre, because obviously we're really excited for the Bronco. She said it was the best day of her life the first day we had it, and well, that kind of, you know, that doesn't hurt my feelings. I can take that. But we also have had friends in the vehicle. I've had, you know, a couple co-workers in the vehicle, and actually they're now shopping a Bronco. So if you road test one of these, I think you'll be shopping a Bronco as well.